Hello players, and welcome to Brad the DM, Strixhaven, a Curriculum of Chaos, Session number 6, Campus Daredevils. Just give my quick introduction here. Campus Daredevils is a heist mission. Your party is set to break into a mansion on campus and steal something and get out without getting caught. A mission with some stakes without the danger of death. I'm loving the concept and I have some ideas for execution, so I guess we'll just get to the story. We can technically call this a Halloween adventure. If I did add in some lightning effects and rain and stuff. Like, I wrote them in. I don't have the sound effects myself, unless I do take the time and find something. I don't know. We'll see how editing goes with this. This is going to be a long episode. It is 14 pages compared to my normal 9. So yeah. With that out of the way, let's get to the session. Players, let's begin. Session introduction. Burgle was on his way to the Bow's End Tavern. He was meeting up with everyone. McTalk had finished work on a project he wanted to share. Burgle was a bit on edge. It was the middle of prank week, and he'd seen some ridiculous things over the past few days. In potions, he'd seen a mix-up of ingredients lead some expanding foam that messed up the lecture. To be fair, a student had done it, but was able to clean up the mess quickly. Prestidigitation or some other, spell like that. The role-playing society had been interrupted when a couple of druids turned themselves into badgers and ran amok over their practice. No one was hurt, and there wasn't any major damage done, but still, Burgle was concerned about a prank turning into a more serious situation, like the frog races, or the attack at the tavern recently, etc., etc. Burgle stopped in front of the tavern looking toward the clock tower. He was a little late, only about 5 minutes. He'd been really absorbed into his book. He walked into the tavern, giving a wave to some friends as they walked out, and a staff member who he knew. "Oh, hey, your friends, they're in the back. They got a booth." The hostess at the front counter said. Burgle nodded and headed toward the booth. Burgle walked through the tavern. He stopped short when a group of friends were playing darts, and one of the players threw darts that literally bounced off of the board. Everyone laughed, and the player got to throw again. A gnome stepped forward, admitting he enchanted the tips to be rubbery. Burgle shook his head and walked on. He saw Darb in the booth and gave a wave. "Oh, hey, guys, Burgle's here," Darb said. Sarah turned to look over her shoulder and waved him forward. Burgle approached the booth and slid in next to Darb. McTalk was next to Sarah. "Well, we're all here now, so what do you have to show us, McTalk?" Sarah said. Javenish was working, so he couldn't be at the meeting. McTalk nodded, and he pulled a small pack out off of his belt and set it on the table. Sarah and I talked about communication and discretion. Yes, Sarah and I had talked about communication and discretion. Darb casually looked around. No one was close enough to overhear, and, they were just here to have fun, and unwind. Nothing too serious. Wink. McTalk reached into the bag and pulled out an earring. It was a small silver loop with a small jewel at the base, green like an emerald. Really quick, I did quickly Google some stuff, and I found some jewelry that I'm just going to go with, so just a quick picture for reference. These appear to be basic earrings with a small jewel, but I call them message earrings. You are familiar with the message spell, right? McTalk passed the earring around. Sarah nodded. Burgle seemed to be trying to recall, and Darb plainly shrugged. "Right, you can send telepathic messages to one another, or to one or more individuals, and only they can hear you. Quite convenient. In execution, you are moving your lips, so it's not entirely discreet, but will suffice for now." Yeah, these earrings don't require the materials. However, it does limit their daily uses. In testing, I've been able to use them 2 to 3 times in a single day. However, they do recharge at the next dawn. I'll demonstrate. McTalk explained how they worked before clipping one onto his left ear. "Can you hear me now?" Darb heard McTalk's voice clearly in his head. Burgle leaned back in surprise, and Sarah smirked. "I haven't been able to test as effectively the range and efficacy through solid matter such as wood or stone, so bear that in mind. Also, one other handy feature. When the earrings are charging, the jewel is a darker red, and if you are lacking a pierced ear, these do clip onto your ear quite easily, taking about a minute or so for attunement. Darb raised a hand. Attunement is so it specifically is bound to you, right? Erzmektok nodded. Yes, Darb, excellent. Burgle gave Darb a thumbs up, and Sarah nodded lightly. Alright, DM note. I made up the message earring and added the bit about attunement just in case someone isn't familiar with the term, or, with the spell message. It's just a nice little thing that you can occasionally use for, like, oh, hey, like, they want to have a private conversation or whatever, and it's just something that's come up in my mind a couple of times, so hey, something just to bear in mind. Erzmektok removed the other earrings and slid them across the table to each party member. Sarah pocketed hers. Burgle looked his over for a few seconds before also pocketing his. Darb looked it over and then clipped it onto his left ear. The group were about to order when a server came to the table with a pitcher and a stack of glasses. We didn't order drinks yet, Sarah said. The server was about to explain when a second individual walked up. It's on me, guys. Don't worry about it. It's just a nice sentiment between friends. Burgle's face dropped, seeing Grayson step forward. Darb, Burgle, he said, smirking, sliding in next to Erzmektok and Sarah. I know we've had some friction in the past, and just wanted to show no hard feelings. And Darb, don't worry, it's not dwarf ale. I know how much trouble it gives you. Grayson said, chuckling to himself. He took a glass and filled it from the pitcher. Also, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk a little bit of business. Sarah scrutinized him. Burgle looked nervously around. Darb clenched his fists in frustration under the table. It's prank week, as you all know, but there's one bit that continues year-round. Anyone familiar with that? Sarah rolled her eyes. Just spell it out for us, Grayson. Grayson smirked. Very direct. I respect that, Red. Darb was clearly annoyed by that, exhaling heavily. Grayson's eyes narrowed as he studied Darb before continuing. The doll, Sassy Sally Jane. Over the years, she's been a bother with her rude statements and such. She pops up every so often, to the chagrin of the professors, interrupting lectures or other locations, and I know where she is. I'd like you all to free her. Sarah sighed in frustration. Darb wasn't sure how to react, but Burgle laughed, slapping the table. Hey, I've heard that. I've heard a few stories. She was stuffed into the faculty lounge, I think it was last year, and then used during one of Professor Veralda's exams a few years back. She's been out of circulation since they found her last year, in that vent issue. Grayson smiled at that. Very good, Burgle. Do you know where she currently is, though? No, it was presumed the doll was destroyed, unfortunately. Grayson chuckled at that. Well, your sources would be wrong. You see, Sassy Sally Jane was actually the doll of Captain Dapplewing's daughter. Obviously, she outgrew the doll, but he kept it. You know, a father's sentimentality. Sarah seemed to perk up at the mention of Dapplewing. Wait a second. Dapplewing. Captain Dapplewing? Grayson smiled at that. The very same. Well done, Sarah. Consider it a relic. It has been shuffled around a bit. My guess... Any guesses as to the current location? Darb, you haven't really said anything. So, care to take a guess? Darb thought on it for a few seconds. Doesn't he have, like, a building or something on campus, he asked? Correct, Darb. Excellent work. A manor house left to the university, mainly for storing items and faculty use during the day. I don't have an exact location. However. Sarah wasn't interested, though. No way. We're not going after some doll because you bought a few drinks. Okay, so why don't you take your little heist mission and buzz off, Grayson. Bye-bye. Starting with a quick DM note here. Basically, I'm bringing the Grayson element into this because he plans on blackmailing the team in order to get them to do this. This is just kind of my, way of coercing the team into doing it, which I probably will use in the campaign, if they don't want to do it for the fun and the heist and yada yada. Because, you know, I could offer them gold and stuff, but yeah, like a little bit of arm twisting seems a bit more fitting and appealing. And no offense, Grayson, I am trying to kind of make you the bad guy here. Don't worry, you'll get redeemed at some point. But for right now, you're kind of that, you know, bad journalist type of character. And I'm sorry for that. But it's how the story's going for me so far, and I'm just running with it. Yeah. But we have more to talk on. Grayson smirked at that. I thought you might refuse, so I'll sweeten the deal for you. Grayson put his hand under the table and set down his bag of tricks. Burgle, I know you took part in the Wizard Gizzard tournament, so regardless, I'll hand it over. No questions asked. Burgle smiled and reached across the table. Grayson put his hand lightly on the bag. You do have to try the heist, though. Darb looked between Burgle and Grayson, noting a glint in Grayson's eye. Sarah just brushed it off. No deal, Grayson. It's not worth the risk. So, like I said, thanks for stopping by. Thank you for the drinks. Now, please, leave. Grayson once again chuckled. You know, I thought you would say that as well, so I prepared something I think you should see. Grayson set a piece of parchment on the table, you know, Sarah taking it to read the contents, her face paling slightly. Sarah's color had returned, and she was clearly on the edge of violence. You're kidding me, right? She asked. Grayson shrugged. You know, I'm a firm believer that people do have the right to know about strange things happening on campus, and, you know, I mean, you all seem to pop up at the right time. You know, a bit convenient if you ask me. He grinned that shark-like grin. Now, if something else came up, I might forget about this article entirely. You know, it's more of a conspiracy, so I doubt many would take it seriously, but you would certainly gain some attention, you know, from faculty, staff, you know, other people who might have been victims. You know, it might make your lives a bit more difficult, and any secret projects you have going on could be, well, again, more difficult. That's the thing, though. People may miss patterns, you know, if they have to put in the work to find them, but if it's right in front of them in black and white, well, they're more likely to notice and take it seriously. So, what do you say? And he casually held out a hand to shake. Sarah glared at him. Why shouldn't I just torch the article and then you right now? Grayson, clearly unfazed, just looked around casually. Not a great plan, Red. You have till Monday to figure this out. Otherwise, this hits the presses. Like I said, if you do try, I will scrap the article. Bury it deep. You have my word, honestly. I'm a reasonable man, after all. I'll give you time to prepare. Let's meet Saturday evening, midnight, outside the manor house. There's a small bench down the path from the front door. We can meet there. Darb frowned, moving to get up, but Sarah held up a hand. He's got us in a bad spot. Fine, we'll do it. Bastard, Sarah said. Grayson chuckled, clapping his hands. Excellent, excellent. Well, I'll be going then. Again, enjoy the drink on me, and, well, I'll see you all very soon. Grayson whistled to himself as he walked away. I can't whistle. I'm not about to try. Sorry, folks. Sarah frowned after him, then turned back to the group. All right, we have 2 days to plan. Any ideas on where to start? Darb held up a hand. What about Javenish? He could help. Sarah shook her head. No, I'm not getting him involved with this. Grayson may not know about him, and if this goes south, I don't want it coming back on him. Darb nodded. Right. Sorry. McTalk held up a hand. Right. I can offer some bit of advice here. They do have a spare key. I couldn't say where specifically, though. Professor Sterling seems to lose his key often enough. He had a spare made. Sarah looked at him. Is that all? She asked. I know they keep it near the front entrance. I'm sure you can find it easily enough if you need to. Sarah frowned at that, but let it go. Thanks, McTalk. Darnburl didn't seem to have any other idea, so she said, well, I guess meeting adjourned. We'll meet at the proper time Saturday evening. Alright, another quick DM note here. This is the first heist mission I've ever done, and the amount of prep work going into it is daunting for me. Different rooms have different, security and treasures, but also I'm working in some potential help from other people, as I will explain below. Alright, DM note. I reviewed the chapter, and Captain Dapplewing's manor, as with every building, is broken into sections. The front door, the entryway, the foyer, etc. With a quick description and an explanation of what lies within. Treasure, enemies, and other noteworthy information. Because with this mission, your team is going to come at this with their own plan of attack. So, maybe they enter through the study, or they enter through the second floor somehow. Like toss somebody up. Who knows? I also reviewed this because I gave my team prep time. As you'll see below, I also took note of people I felt could provide some good information for the party if they choose to talk to them. I needed to know first what is there, and then I have to make a judgment call, based on a DC check. What information they do decide to share with the party. I put all of the sections into a Word document breaking down what was in each room and the necessary checks, as well as looking up the stat blocks for each encounter. There are a number of 20 sections in total. There are 7 investigation checks, intelligence or wisdom perceptions, 12 potential combat encounters, and 11 chances for treasure in total. In the next section, I'm just going to establish who of the book NPCs, the NPCs you can find in the book, could help you out, and my justification, as well as what my team learns and what I will call prep time. Quick scenes for each character doing their part of the heist prep. DM note part 2. People with noteworthy information, potentially. Basically, these DM notes are just going to be, information that is probably most prevalent to the DM and not so much the player. So just bear that in mind. Basically, like I said, I went through the book, I picked out the NPCs that I felt had potential information to go with, and then, I just wrote down who they were and what I thought you could get out of them, as well as how to get that information out of them. So, for instance, we have McTalk, which we've already established. A regular aide to the professors, he knows that Professor Sterling had a key made that he keeps in a potted plant near the front door because he consistently misplaces his. Depending on your role, whether he tells you about this and where the extra key is located. I went with a charisma check. Just, hey, talking to the guy. So, persuasion, intimidation, something else charisma related, because I'm out of ideas there, but yeah. You use your judgment on what McTalk says. My team got this information for free because they work together, because they're part of the investigation, because that's how my story is going. The story I do with other people might be different. There will definitely be some differences based on who you guys are and how you decide to do things. If you're nice people like I am, you'll probably get a similar story to this. If you're the trouble kids who are getting detention and stuff, it's going to be different. It's going to have to be. And I'm going to have to figure that out. Crap. Moving on to the second person of interest, Drasimir. A book clerk might be able to direct you to information on Dapplewing and potentially the manor house itself. I said a charisma persuasion. I decided to go with charisma persuasion and intelligence investigation rolls. I give you 2 chances here. Basically, either you can charm the information out of, Drasimir, or you can investigate the library yourself and find the information on your own. In my scenario, Sarah also works in the library, so she can have advantage on both roles. The next person of interest, so name below, the next person of interest, Shivadri Glintmantle. She handles campus graffiti, so she may know a thing or two about, the outside security. There's some things with the plants and, just other general information. She may give this information if the person offers some time helping her to clean up the campus. It's her job. It's what she does. I went with another charisma persuasion on this one. I don't think intimidation is going to work here. Just throwing that out there. Unless you do it good. She knows about the outer defenses, potentially. She will give you more or less information based on your role. Also may or may not be hostile. She won't sell you out, because that would suck. But in my story, her great-great-grandfather was Dappling himself, and she's protective of the manor house. If you have intent to harm the building and make that clear to her, she will be furious, and may not warn you that if you break a window or door, campus security will be on you very fast. Really quick explanation there. The book said it would, like, if you break a window or break a door on the outside, within 1d4 rounds, the campus security will be there. And then, you get taken in and yada yada. However, I added my own little caveat here. If there's, something where a window breaks or something and the campus security is on you, I will let someone make a sacrifice play. I'll lead them away while you guys go and do your stuff. So they lead them on a wild goose chase. The party can press forward, but the person can't, circle back and come back into the heist. Like, they're going to be on their own, and they're going to run their own little scenario. I wish I'd run that. It would have been cool. Moving on to Melwithorn. Really quick, I broke the book's canon to a degree because I'm adding him to the horticultural club. He's a dryad. He was on the Silkball team because he's a big dude, which I think Silkball is like football or rugby. I don't know, I didn't read up as much on it, but yeah. He is a dryad, so he has a strong connection to the natural world, and one of the party notes him watering the plants outside of Dappling Manor. The conversation is there to show there are dangerous outside defenses, so bear that in mind. This section is the prep time, so basically, I'll just go over each character's prep time, what they decide to do when go with, and yada yada. So, starting with Sarah. Sarah told the boys she would try to find what information she could about the mansion at the library. Working there, she had some extra time to research her own interests. Sarah went about her normal schedule and work in the library, and after a shift, she stuck around. Common practice, as she could do her coursework in quiet. Today, she was searching the shelves for books about Dappling Manor. Alright, Sarah, make an intelligence investigation check with advantage. And she rolled 19. Very nice. Sarah did eventually find a book on Dappling Manor, and she breezed through it. Built for Ramus Dappling, who worked with the Lorehold and Silver Quill colleges. The manor house now is used by faculty of the respective colleges, as well as for formal events in the evenings. The manor has some interesting pieces within for decoration, but also security, though the book didn't mention what specifically, which made sense to Sarah. But was still a bother. One thing that caught her eye was the transport circles in the building that aided movement throughout the building, considered revolutionary at the time of their installation. That could be useful, Sarah muttered to herself. The building has 3 floors, including some faculty offices, dining areas, and art for entertainment, which caught Sarah's eye. She wouldn't mind some treasure hunting with Sally in hand. She closed the volume and returned to her dorm, hoping that Darb and Burgle had more success in their work. The big thing with the transport circles that I'm just saying here is basically it's like the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, like how we have ramps for buildings and automatic doors and things like that. Like larger creatures like Goliaths, giants, etc. It's not as easy for them to walk through a front door or upstairs. Like they mentioned this a couple times throughout Strixhaven, and I really appreciate that. That's cool, because there might be people who have other mobility aids that, the stairs are able to change and accommodate for. The transport circles are just another version of that. So, for real, thank you guys for writing that stuff in. It's very cool. It's very interesting. Very progressive. I think it's nice. Moving on to Burgle. The horticultural club meeting was wrapping up. Everyone talked about the fair and how much fun they had, and the growth of the plants in the garden. Melwithorn split from the other members, saying he wanted to check on his plants at Dappling Manor. Burgle, seeing the opportunity, asked to join him. This is where he makes his charisma persuasion check. He rolled a 14 pass. Basically, I made like 10 the minimum bar for getting any good information, and then, ramped it up based on what you get. Melvithorn smiled at that. By all means, friend. I do love to speak of the natural world with others, where possible. The two chatted about the horticultural club and their work in the wild, of Burgle's childhood and the like. They reached the manor house. A number of staff waving to Melwithorn, and a few gave polite nods to Burgle. He had a good reputation around the campus. With the drama, with the theater, and just being a nice gnome all around. They walked through the lobby and passed by an interesting clockwork contraption. Greetings! I am the Earl of the Manor. Do you need assistance? I'm happy to help. Burgle was in awe of the contraption as they passed, staring at it. Clockwork stuff, bit of foreshadowing. You'll get it later. Melwithorn stopped at the doors leading to the grand deck. You may need to stay back a step. I will need time to introduce you to the plants. Burgle chuckled at that. What are they going to do? Like, attack me or something? Melwithorn didn't laugh at that. He said, hey, maybe you should water the cacti on the side decks while I handle things here. Burgle swallowed nervously at that. Yeah, sure. I got it. Side decks. Burgle found a watering can on the deck and filled it from a faucet nearby and watered the cacti. Casually speaking to them because it was known to help plants grow. He returned to meet Melwithorn, who brought him onto the grand deck to show him the violet fungus. These are newly transferred plants. They glow a lovely violet color. They're still young and need a bit of extra care. Burgle was fascinated by the plants and asked a few questions about them. They finished their business, and Melwithorn had to leave for silk ball practice. He bid Burgle farewell. Burgle liked the plant life on the deck, though he had some concern about the cacti. They seemed a bit large. Again, that's a bit of foreshadowing that was specifically in the book. Oh, hey, they seem overwatered, and then they do attack later if you do come at this entrance, or do anything with the side decks. Just a note. Darb's part of the heist. Darb wasn't exactly sure what he could do to help, so he thought maybe taking some time to case the manor, as it were, and see if he could make any determinations about the heist. Thursday afternoon, he brought his gear and was doing some sword forms while he casually watched the manor. He was there for about 2 hours when he heard a flutter of wings and an owlin girl landed near him. Hi! Oh, hey, what's up? Darb said, feeling a bit nervous and off-put as she strode toward him. Good afternoon, she said, politely. I saw you here and just wanted to say hello. I don't believe I've seen you around here before. I'm Shavandri. She held out a hand to shake. Darb smiled and wiped his brow with a towel. Oh, hey, Darb, just out here doing some practice. It's a very nice spot. Good lighting, nice shade, whenever you need to cool off a few minutes. You know how it goes. Whenever I'm not in the weight room, killing it, trying to do, the flirty muscle guy is what I'm going for. Shavandri nodded. Ah, yes, indeed it is. I often stop here myself for lunch. I adore the manor house. I just find it curious that during prank week, I find you here. Just casually practicing. I've had my eye on you for the past hour or so, Mr. Darb. Darb exhaled heavily at that. Yeah, crazy, just getting lots of practice in today, nothing wrong with that, right? He was definitely starting to sweat, and not because of his sword form practice. Shavandri chuckled and stepped close to Darb. Oh, I do so agree. No issues at the moment. I would like you to know that I tried to keep an eye on the campus, handling litter and graffiti, and prank week is the worst week for my work, especially... I'm especially protective of the manor. You see, my great-great-grandfather and I would be very upset if someone planned an epic prank that could hurt the manor or the nearby area. Shavandri was very focused on Darb pressing her point. It's that point when the shorter girl who's like 5'4" is intimidating the dude who's 6'2". Alright, Darb, looks like you're going to have to make a charisma persuasion check to get yourself out of this one. Let's see how you do. 11. I'm just calling that a neutral response here. That's what it feels like. Darb was a bit tongue-tied because owlin have very intense features. They have the faces of owls. They are owl people. It's scary. I remember Animorphs talking about how Tobias has intense features as a red-tailed hawk. Just saying. No, no. No, I didn't have any plans like that. Shamandri stared into his eyes for a few more seconds before stepping back. Very well, I will just say this. If anything happens at the manor house, security will be there quickly to sort out any problems. Bear that in mind as you go about your business, Mr. Darb. Before Darb could say anything in his defense, she had walked off. Darb looked at the manor house one more time before picking up his gear and heading back to the dorm. Last-second plans. The party met up Saturday evening. Near the tree Darb had practiced his sword forms near. There was a light fog on the lawn, making it a bit easier for them to meet, without notice. Grayson and Mina Lee were already there casually chatting. Mina saw the party approaching first and smirked. Grayson turned around. Hey, welcome. Glad you made it, he said genuinely. Sarah just frowned, crossing her arms as she and Mina stared one another down. Darb took the lead and moved to Grayson. Yeah, we made it. We're gonna do this, and that will be that. Grayson laughed. Hey, I hope so. This could be the biggest prank of the year. The return of Sassy Sally Jane. Darb sighed in annoyance. Right, let's just get this over with. Mina held up a hand and walked toward Sarah. Grayson told me about all this, and I wanted to help sweeten the deal too. So, if you can pull this off, I'll give you a drift globe as well. Sarah was suspicious but agreed. We give you the doll, we get the globe, fair trade, and you get rid of the article. Sarah looked pointedly at Grayson for that last part. Grayson nodded, putting on a more serious tone. Of course, I am a man of my word. By getting inside, at least, I can spin a nice article. Students break into Dapplewing Manor. It's something. Also, not to rush you, but I believe it's supposed to rain this evening. Wouldn't want to be caught in that. Darb frowned at that. Hey, show some respect, man. Darb marched forward determined, Sarah matching stride, and Burgle bowed nervously before chasing after them. A loud crack of thunder boomed in the sky to the southwest. Grayson looked back a bit worried. Darb looked to Sarah. So, what's the plan? Sarah knew Darb was very serious and determined, so she was straightforward with him. The manor house has 3 floors, and this was a confiscated item, so it's not going to be simply out in the open. I think we get inside, get to the top floor, and work our way down. That way we aren't trapped upstairs if someone comes in. If we have to jump off the 2nd floor, it might hurt, but we can manage it. I know there's some security around, but I don't know what specifically, so keep your eyes open. Darb nodded. Alright, sounds good. I'll lead, just in case there's trouble. I've got the shield and all. Try not smashing things up or burning the place down. Sarah frowned in annoyance. I'm not an amateur. I know how to be subtle. Burgle nodded. Yeah, of course. They have some nice plants around here also, so, please mind those, too. If it's not too much trouble, Sarah. Sarah was annoyed and just rolled her eyes at that. The party dashed through the mist and made their way to the manor house. Urs McTalk mentioned something about a spare key, so let's check out the front first, see if we can find it. That is the only real entrance. The other doors are up on the decks, Sarah explained. For here, the front entrance, it says a DC 15 Wisdom Perception check to find the key. First up, we have Sarah. And she rolled 9. As the party approached the stairs, Sarah noted a slight blue glow and stopped to examine it. I think this is a transport circle. They're used for those who can't take the stairs. Sarah stepped onto the circle. Enter, she whispered to herself, and after a few seconds disappeared in a flash of light blue light. She opened her eyes to find herself facing the front door. After a few seconds, realizing she was still outside, thanks to the silhouette of moonlight. Like I talked about a bit earlier, it's nice, those things for people who might be a bit too big or too small, or have mobility issues, easily being able to circumvent stairs and such. It's pretty cool. Very interesting. I like it. Nice job. Alright, next up we have Darb's part. Darb rolled 16. Sarah, where'd you go? Darb whispered, worriedly looking around. She was nowhere to be found, so he rushed up the stairs to see her at the front door. You alright? He asked. Sarah nodded. Yeah, I'm fine. Just, I guess that one is tuned to the front door. We can't get inside that way. Darb nodded. Spare key it is. Alright, you take the left side, I'll take the right, and check back in a few minutes. The trio nodded before rushing off, Sarah checking under the patio furniture on the east side, while Darb checked the west side. You know, patio furniture, windowsills, etc., etc. Burgle rolled... boom, 17. Burgle was a bit behind when Darb and Sarah split off to search for the key. He looked over the door. It was a nice build, strong wood, very nice. He ran his hands along the frame, looking for anything, when he noticed a small glint of metal from a potted plant. He reached his hand in to find a key, with some loose dirt on it. Hey, guys, I found something. Sarah and Darb nodded and rushed back to the door. Burgle held up the key, grinning. It was in the planter right here the whole time. Sarah sighed. I expected better of the university staff. She took the key, put it into the lock, and turned. With a satisfying click, the lock opened. Sarah put her hand on the knob. Darb put his hand over hers. Hey, let me go first, he said. Sarah sighed. Go on, then. So, congratulations, team. You have made it inside the building. We are now in the foyer. And unfortunately, I might have to do the, heading for each place. So, yeah, foyer. Location C2 on the map. Darb slowly opened the door, poking his head in. He looked from left to right. He noticed figures near the door and froze. Then he realized the figures weren't moving. They seemed to be statues of some kind. He let out a relieved breath. Whew. Alright guys, come on in, Darb said, waving a hand and letting the others into the foyer. Hey, who do you think these guys are? Burgle asked, looking over the statues. It's not a big deal here, but for those interested, you basically make an intelligence history check, a DC of 15, just to figure out who the statues are. And, if you pass, like Burgle did with a 23, you do find out who the characters were. Basically just companions of Captain Dapplewing. They don't have official names in the book, so I kind of had to make up my own. I don't list them all here, but I can run them up the side of the screen really quick, just for anyone who's interested to see it. So yeah, just quickly, poof, and and I'll give quick explanations for what I thought of for that, in case you need some inspiration, because they're like 6 or 8 characters. It's a lot. But anyway, sorry. Moving forward, Burgle looked closely at the statues, and then smiled, snapping his fingers. I got it! Now I remember! These were Captain Dapplewing's companions. They served together. Sarah shook her head. Yes, that's nice and all, but it doesn't really help us. Let's keep going. Sarah turned around, searching the room. Darb looked to Burgle. Hey, I thought it was cool, man. Sarah's right. We do need to keep going, though. Burgle nodded. He gave the statues one last look before turning to follow. Really quick here, make a DC 15 Wisdom Perception check. I go from bottom to top, so... Sarah was pretty impatient and just pressed forward toward the stairs, brushing past Darb. So she doesn't notice anything. Burgle, looking around, feeling a bit nervous, about everything and jumping at shadows. He rolled a 14. So again, he doesn't really notice anything either. My boy Darb, though, rolled 18. Darb was wired with adrenaline. He heard wood creaking behind them. Hey, Burgle, why don't you shut the door? Trouble! Darb turned around to tell Burgle to shut the door when he noticed the dwarf statues moving, cracking their knuckles as they stepped off of their pedestals. Basically, these two dwarves I called Datakar and Malakar. Pair of twin dwarves. I believe I decided that they were monks. Are just two statues that are part of the defenses for the manor. And unfortunately, yeah, they're coming after you. So we're going to roll into the combat. I'll cover initiative and stuff. We'll go turn by turn as per usual and go from there. So yeah. Really quick, just to give how the initiative rolls went. We have Drone B. I forget who was who. Rolled a 20. Darb was next, rolling a 15. Burgle was after that, rolling a 6. Sarah was after that, rolling a 5. And Drone A rolled, I'm not even kidding you, a 1. So, plus 1 initiative, got him a 2. That's it. Yeah. So let's get into turn number 1. Alright, turn number 1 of the combat. We have Drone B attacking Burgle with, just fist attack. 2 times. He rolled a hit and a miss. Melikar's statue threw 2 punches. The first caught Burgle in the jaw. The second Burgle was ready for as he moved back. I forgot how much damage that did. 2 damage. 2 damage per punch attack. Darb was next. He did his short sword attack, and using 2 weapon fighting, he used an unarmed attack, or a shield bash. Basically, really quick, 2 weapon fighting is you can take an extra additional melee attack, with your offhand. So his right hand with his sword, his left hand has the shield on it. I'm calling that shield bash basically an unarmed attack, because it just feels like the right amount of attack, in my opinion. Any DMs who have any thoughts on this that want to comment below, feel free. Please let me know your thoughts. Because it feels okay, but if there's some controversy with it, let me know. And there are some other details about multi-weapon fighting that you have to take into account. I believe you do not get your ability modifier. So, it's not, oh, +2. It's just, oh, hey, you rolled 13, you got 13. That's it. But, yeah. So, anyway, Darb used short sword attack and shield bash. And he missed both times. So, Darb rushed forward, his foot slipping on the tile, so his swing went wide. He reset his footing and tried for a shield bash, but the statue blocked it with its forearm. Clang. And then, moving on to Burgle. Burgle's going after Statue B. He's going to use Rapier Slash, and then 2 weapon fighting for Dagger Stab. He also missed both times. So Burgle tries to draw his sword and slash, but misses, spinning in a circle. Oh, crap! Almost cutting Darb. He thrusts his dagger at the statue, but his aim was off. Again, nearly hitting Darb. It's comedy. Next we have Sarah attacking with Ray of Frost. She hit for 6 damage. Yeah, Sarah sighed in frustration that the boys couldn't hit the statue and fired a Ray of Frost, hitting the statue in the chest. The other bad guy didn't like that. So, 2 fist attacks, he hits both times. The second statue focuses on Sarah and rushes toward her, throwing punches. And that is the end of turn number 1. Moving on to turn 2. Drone B is going to fist attack Darb twice. A hit and a miss. The first hit was a nat 20, so I am giving him 2 times damage, for a total of 4 damage. The drone's eyes focused on Darb, and it threw a haymaker left hook to Darb's ribs that really stung. It threw a companion right, but the first shot forced Darb to double over, and the right rustled through Darb's hair. Darb was going to go for short sword attack, and then action surge for a second attack. He missed with the first attack, but he hit with the second, dealing a total of 8 damage. Very nice. Darb swung his blade, the shot going over the statue's head. He regained his footing, and on the return swing, hit the statue in the frozen chest. Its lights turned off, and it slumped forward, basically deactivated. Alright, next we have Burgle with Vicious Mockery against Drone A. The DC was a 13, and it rolled a 16, so it passed. Burgle looks to Sarah and the second statue. Hey, Bark Breath, pick on someone your own size, Burgle yelled, but it didn't really seem to matter. Also, the statues are made of wood, hence Bark Breath. Sarah. Sarah cast Mage Armor on herself. Basically, the AC becomes 13 plus your Dex modifier. So, it is 13 minus 1, giving her 12 AC. which is actually an improvement. I believe her normal AC is 9. And this lasts for 8 hours. Very nice. Blue light encircles Sarah, runes appearing across her chest. Alright, so Drone A is going to attack Sarah twice. Hit, and then a crit miss. So it dealt 2 damage to Sarah. And then because it missed, Sarah was able to stab it with her dagger, dealing 2 damage. The statue slaps Sarah with a backhand, and Sarah moves aside, driving her dagger to the hilt into the statue's side. And that is turn 2. Moving on to turn number 3. Darb goes for a short sword attack, and then 2-weapon fighting, the unarmed attack. He misses both times. Seeing the pattern here? Alright, so Darb rushed forward towards Statue A, and, get away from her, you dick! The line from Alien, or Aliens. Get away from her, you expletive. Yeah. I thought it was clever when I wrote it. Well, funny anyway. Darb swung wildly, the shot going wide as he almost fell. He tried to punch the statue, but without even footing, it caught the shield, which actually helped balance Darb out. So he didn't fall flat on his face. Thank you, Statue A. I forgot the names already, man. It's hard to keep track. Burgle will attack Statue A with rapier slash attack, and 2-weapon fighting for dagger stab. You'll never guess what happens. He missed both times. Burgle was on Darb's heels and tried to hit the statue. He slipped, falling into the back of Darb's legs. So he didn't fall prone, but he's definitely like, oops, like, it's a Three Stooges bit with fighting, apparently. My dice really hate martials, apparently. Alright, so Sarah will attack with Ray of Frost. She missed. Sarah shot another Ray of Frost, but the statue forced her hand upward, and the shot hit the ceiling, freezing a small patch of ice. Drone A is going to attack Darb twice. Missed, and a crit hit, so he dealt 4 total damage. Basically, just really clocked him, like, with a good, strong cross to the chin. Because, again, I believe these were monks. So, yeah. Also, using monks, it's going to be funny. But, yeah, you'll get it later. Alright, so that is turn 3. Moving on to turn number 4. Darb is going to attack a short sword attack, and then 2-weapon fighting for a shield bash, an unarmed strike. He misses both times. The statue caught Darb's blade between 2 fingers, which looked cool, and then, he blocked the shield bash with its arm. Just like, what are you doing, man? Like, get good. Moving on to Burgle. Burgle gives Sarah Bardic Inspiration, and then he goes for a Rapier Slash. And he missed. I hate this combat. Seeing it now, I really hate it. Burgle sings a quick bit for Sarah, giving her inspiration, then swings his rapier at the dwarf's leg, but, just lifts its leg and the swing misses. Sarah, getting annoyed, goes, screw it, I'm going to cast Magic Missile, dealing a total of 11 damage, which I think their HP was either 10 or 11. So yeah, Sarah blasted the statue with Magic Missile, the blast catching it in the face and chest, and then the light, turning off in its eyes. Just a, light white or bluish thing to show I'm active. Think robots, but made of wood. Not Bender. So combat over. So moving on to further foyer exploration. That's the best name I can come up with. Sarah shook her head. Guys, you realize the point is to hit the bad guy, right? She was really annoyed. Just do better and keep quiet. I see something over on the east end of the room. Looking across the room, we can see a small light bobbing through the air. Like a lantern or a globe of light. We'll stick to the west side here, and let's just explore. The guys nodded and followed Sarah along the east side of the wall. Lightning cracks sounded closer than before. Burgle watched the light and saw the Earl's face lit up, showing a creepy, determined expression. I'm giving the Earl a voice. Okay? All quiet on the western front. Most excellent. He heard the clockwork contraption mutter as it moved northward. Burgle shivered, then jumped, realizing Darb and Sarah were a few feet away. He rushed to catch up with them. The trio continued along the wall and looked up. I think we found the stairs. We don't know what's up there, so one of you should go up first. Darb and Burgle looked at each other. Why us? Sarah leaned in close to whisper. Burgle is small enough so he can sneak up easily, or you because you're ready to handle another statue, or whatever we come across. Darb noticed another transport circle. This one was a lighter pink color. Hey, why don't we just use the transport circle thing? We can just go to wherever. Sarah frowned at that. We don't know where it goes. Darb looked at Burgle. So, do you want to go up, or should I? Burgle looked up into the darkness. Maybe we could both go up there, and Sarah covers the back for us, so, nothing sneaks up on us. Sarah thought for a few seconds and nodded. Alright, that works for me. Burgle, you lead. Darb, stay a step or two behind him. And then really quick, I just called for a stealth check here. Just don't roll a 1, is all I'm asking. And we didn't. Darb rolled a 12, and Burgle rolled a 9. Basically, if you rolled a 1, you're going to trip on the stairs or make some loud noise that's going to get the Earl's attention. Or some other thing, that's in the manor house. Doing security stuff. Or other thieves, perhaps. Ooh. Foreshadowing? I'm going to write that down, because that's a good idea, actually. Burgle leads the way, very cautious and slowly looking around in every direction. He almost trips on the stairs, but Darb does grab him by the collar of his shirt. Hey, I gotcha. Just be more careful. Burgle nodded thanks, man. The pair crept up the stairs, Burgle peeking onto the next floor as he was only a few steps from the top. Hey, you see anything up there? Darb asked. No, it looks clear to me, Burgle said. He did a full 360 and noticed a light pink glow. Hey, I think I found the transport circle up here. Tell Sarah. Darb peeked down and whispered to Sarah. Alright guys, I'll try it. Darb waited a few seconds when there was a brief flash of light and Sarah was on the second floor transport circle. Awesome, Burgle said quickly. Climbing the rest of the stairs, the party regrouped. So now we are on the second floor. Sarah looked over the floor. Alright, we're on the second floor. There's one more floor, the attic. We just have to look for it, so which side do you want to start on, north or south? Lightning cracked once more, lighting the floor up. Nothing was moving, and the party could see a few rooms and a large central column. Alright, cool. Alright, DM notes. Basically, on the south side of the second floor, to the west you have the faculty offices. To the east you have Captain Dapplewing's study. If you approach the doors without going in, you'll see, nameplates and stuff next to the doors. Professor Lang, Professor Filstrom, etc. Or, you'll see Dapplewing's study. On the north side, to the west, you'll see, faculty storage and the reflection room. To the east, you'll see the tea room and the student storage. Yeah, basically the point of that DM's note is just so you know what is on the second floor, what stuff to look at specifically, so you can go, okay, you went to the east side or the west side, okay, here's what you run into, etc., etc. Yeah. Now back to the action. Darb moves to the south side, looking for a door, and finds a nameplate. Professor Lang. Must be her office. Sarah moved to the north, a smaller room, toward the corner. Faculty storage. That could be worth a look. Darb looked to Burgle. Alright, you stick with Sarah. I'll catch up in a minute. Shouldn't take very long, check out the office. Storage might have a bit more, room and stuff to find. Burgle nodded and padded across the room, catching up with Sarah. Just moving on to individual actions for this. It is splitting the party, but hey, figuring the stuff out. Let's see what happens. Individual actions. So, second floor, south side, moving to the east. Darb eased the door open. It was a small office, a desk facing the wall, a couple of shelves on the sides of the room. He quickly checked the drawers and shelves for anything of interest. Nothing in here. Darb doesn't find anything of interest and moves on to the second office. Professor Filstrom. Darb didn't know this professor. He eased the door open, went in, did a quick search, and found a little bit of gold. Darb opens a drawer and finds a small pouch. He looks it over. On the side it says emergency gold. Darb smirks and pockets the pouch. 5 gold. Basically, for the faculty offices, which there are 4 of, you have a 25% chance to find gold. I rolled a 1d4. On a 4, you find the gold. And basically, I only found gold once, and it said per room, 5 gold. So yeah, you could have gotten 20, but you got 5. Which is better than nothing. Back to the story. Alright. Darb decides to check the other offices just in case. The third office, nothing of interest. Office number 4, nothing of interest. Darb can see a transport circle a few feet away, and what has to be the stairs, just in front of it. So basically, transport circles on the east and west sides of the building. There's one more room on the south side going east. This is Dapplewing's study. Darb pauses at the door and looks back down the hall. Maybe I should regroup with the others first. He pauses his hand on the doorknob, thinking. Dun dun dun. And we're going to pause there with Darb and cut to the other characters. Basically, like I've tried to pick up from the D&D stuff that I've watched. You gotta split the action up a little bit sometimes. The party will go off in different directions and try and give people an equal amount of time and attention. So that way one person doesn't just become the star. And also sometimes you gotta cut for dramatic moments, like, oh no, like oh hey, you're about to get into a fight with this person. What happens first? It gives the player time to think about what they're going to do, and also it lets you transition to somebody else. So just think about when you're going to transition. It's kind of a challenge, but I believe in you. You can do it. All right, moving on to Sarah. Sarah notes Burgle moving toward her and waits for him. All right, are you ready? She asks, sounding a bit nervous. Burgle has his dagger in hand and nods. Yeah, let's do this. She eases the door open and Burgle sneaks in, just quickly casing the room. Hey, it's all right. It's just books and shelves and stuff. Sarah exhales softly. Oh, thank goodness. She enters the room. All right, check things out and we'll meet back here at the door. Basically it's just a long room, 4 walls, bunch of boxes, random stuff. Sarah finds a box marked Manor Archive and begins to read. She was so absorbed in the reading for about a minute or so before realizing the book didn't have anything noteworthy. Basically, what she learned in the library about the building being 3 floors, yada yada. Whatever. No luck here, she whispered. Did you find anything? She waited a few seconds for Burgle to respond. When he didn't, she froze and spun around. Burgle! Lightning cracks and rain starts to fall onto the roof. Sarah looks around uneasily. Dun dun dun! See? Good little transition. And of course, let's get to Burgle. Alright. Burgle searched the other side of the room. Nothing interesting caught his eye until he got to the corner. A piece of paneling was loose, and he could see moonlight pouring through a small hole. Hey, Sarah, I think I found something, Burgle called back. Sarah was too absorbed in the book, though, so she didn't hear him. Burgle pushed the panel, and a door opened. He quickly slid inside, looked around the room, and noticed a small piece of metal on the floor. He moved to it and picked it up. A strange ring with a brain on top. He looked inside the band to find an engraving. V. Lang. Professor Lang? He whispered to himself. He was shocked when the door into the opening area was pulled open. Oh my God, there you are, Sarah said. She seemed shaken and hugged him tight. Oh, sorry. I just saw the opening. I thought you heard me. Take a look at this. He showed her the ring. Dun dun dun. Burgle has found a ring of mind shielding. Basically, just a nice little side objective thing you can pick up and take back to Professor Lang if you would like to. Or you can keep it for yourself. Really quick note for DMs. If you do show it back to Professor Lang, she will thank you and say, you know what, you keep it. So, regardless, you have a ring if you want it, or if you want to be a good noodle and try and give it back to her. Alright, with that, we've got their story figured out. But what's going on with Darb? Darb, Part 2. Darb looked down the hall. No sign of Burgle or Sarah. It's just a study. It won't take long to check out, he reasoned. He looked in at the door. The room was slightly bigger. There were taxidermy pieces on the wall. Elk, deer, a wolf, a bear, etc. Basically, fans of Resident Evil 2, if you remember Chief Brian Iron's office, something kind of like that. The original, maybe also potentially the remake. Just saying. That's where I got my inspiration from. That's what I saw when I did this. Right. Darb was impressed, but his eyes passed over them. He noticed a larger plaque in the northwest corner with 2 dragons on it. One red, one black. He moved closer to check it out. Suddenly, the eyes lit up, like green, like lime green, and focused on him. Oh, shit, Darb whispered. Roll initiative. This isn't really a combat. Basically, the 2 heads go on initiative count 20 with a fire and an acid attack. That's how chromatic dragons work. Red is fire, black is acid. Yeah, acid or poison, I forget exactly. I think acid, right. So anyway, red dragon, black dragon, they rolled a 20. Darb rolled 9. Well, I mean, the dragons go at 20. Darb rolled 9. I think you can guess what happens here. Red dragon, fire breath attack. Black dragon, acid breath attack. They both hit. They both hit for 6 damage. Darb took 12 damage. Alright. So, Darb was hit with a hard double whammy. First fire, then acid. Darb tried to raise his shield to stop the fire blast, but he was too slow. The acid landed on his legs, and he quickly whipped it off onto the rug. Onto a rug on the floor that sizzled for a few seconds before the acid, stopped, leaving a gross green stain to it. Ah, screw this, Darb muttered and ran for the door. He slammed it shut behind him, hearing another pair of blasts hit the door. Darb slid down the door, taking a seat to catch his breath. Here he activated Second Wind, healing himself for a total of 6 hit points. I was a bit concerned about that, so I also had him consume his healing potion, which he had obtained in orientation. And he healed himself for another 7 hit points. So he lost 12, he gained 13. So, alright, I'll catch up with them in a minute, Darb muttered. He needed a few seconds to catch his breath. He closed his eyes, and the sound of rain comforting him. Now for here, bit of a deeper cut. It reminded me of Resident Evil 2, the novelization by S.D. Perry, where Leon got shot, and basically he's like leaning against a wall like, oh, I just need a couple seconds because that really hurt. And like, kind of passes out. Making for a good transition to Burgle Part 2. He and Sarah exited the storage room and moved on to the next door. Reflection room. Huh. He looked up to Sarah and shrugged. He eased the door open slowly and peeked in. There were a few beds and a good-sized window that looked out on the campus. Moonlight streaming through a skylight. Doesn't look like anything here, he said. Sarah pressed forward anyway. Like the last room with that rug? Burgle scratched his head and turned toward the hall. I'm kind of worried about Darb. If you want to check here, I'll find him, and then we can meet up in a couple minutes. Sarah nodded. Yeah, I'll wait outside of this room. If you don't come back in 5 minutes, I'm coming after you. Burgle nodded and rushed off. Basically 5 minutes just being whatever you guess is 5 minutes. Or we could say, oh hey, she can clearly see the clock tower from here because big fixture. I'm making this stuff up, man. Come on, give me a break. Anyway, moving on to Sarah, Part 2. Sarah watched Burgle rush off into the gloom and turned back to the room. Come on, there's got to be something in here, too. She'd never admit she was jealous of Burgle's luck finding the ring. She wanted to make sure they didn't pass up anything else of value. Like I said, she's going to be a rogue. She's going to have at least some levels in rogue by the end of this, so yeah. Sarah searched the room. In the beds, they had some drawers. Underneath most had nothing of value, though one held a gem. Sarah found a gem of brightness and smiled to herself. Knew I'd find something. She put the gem into her pocket and went to the door. Cool. And then Darb and Burgle. Right. Darb felt better after a few seconds and got back to his feet. He turned to meet Sarah and Burgle when he heard quiet thuds on the floor. The sound of someone moving quickly. Darb tensed, ready for a fight. Suddenly, lightning cracked, lighting up the floor, making both jump in fright. Oh! Oh! Burgle stopped, nearly screaming. After a few seconds, the boys chuckled. You okay? Darb breathed a sigh of relief. Yeah, sorry. Had a run-in with a two-headed dragon. Burgle's jaw dropped. Are you okay? Do you need any healing? Darb shook his head. No, I took my health potion. I'll have to get another one, though. Earl nodded. Alright, hey, let's meet up with Sarah. I'll catch you up. The pair rushed back toward the reflection room. The party reunites. Sarah was tapping her foot as the boys approached. About time. What took you? She asked. The group met outside of the reflection room, Sarah and Burgle showing off the items they found. Darb holding the pouch of gold he found and telling them of the two-headed dragon in the study. On their way back, the boys found a secret stairwell in the central column. They wanted to get Sarah first before continuing on to the next floor. Alright, another stairwell. That could lead to the third floor. And that dragon trap has me worried. We were lucky to avoid anything like that so far. We should head upstairs. I doubt Sally Jane is on this floor. Darb and Burgle nodded. The trio walked to the column, easing the door open. To their left, a spiral staircase. To their right, a green transport circle. Let's take the stairs, Sarah said. Darb nodded and slowly walked up the stairs, shield arm forward. He looked over the shield as they slowly climbed. Topping the stairs, they were in a small room, straight ahead, with a small display table with a number of different dolls arrayed on it. To the sides were some random odds and ends. On a mannequin was a strange bone dress, a suit of armor was nearby, and a few chests as well. Darb looked over his shoulder. I don't remember what she looks like. And there are a few dolls on the table here. Hi, I'm Sally Jane. Who are you? You know what? On second thought, I don't really care. So get out of my face. Darb turned around to see a blonde-haired doll with tresses had said something. That answers the... Oh, crap. Darb noticed the bone dress had moved and was now floating, its bone wings flapping. The wind seemed to have jostled the table and Sally Jane. Guys, bad guy, incoming! Darb brought his shield up as it took aim with a short bow. The moonlight through the window giving it an eerie look, and the rain hitting the roof adding some background noise. So yeah, we're going to roll initiative again. Really quick, just go over the initiative. It said that the bone dress uses the quadrone stat block, so I just refer to it as the quadrone. Anyway, the initiative order. First up, quadrone with a 21. Next up, we have Burgle with a 20, Darb with an 18, and Sarah with a 12. This combat is... 1 turn? Really? I don't know. 2 turns? I don't know. Something like that. We'll figure it out. But yeah, let's go to the combat. So, the quadrone is going to attack with short bow attack. It gets 4 of these. You're not going to believe what happens here. It goes miss, crit miss, miss. Basically, the crit miss that I said was, the string snaps in its face and it takes half of the damage that it would have taken. Darb caught 3 arrows with his shield. The drone muttered angrily and readied shot number 4, but the string snapped, hitting it in the eye. Ah, dang it! He angrily tosses the bow to the ground, taking 2 damage for that. So basically, it deals 4 damage with the short bow attack. Next up, we have Burgle casting Vicious Mockery on the stone. Wisdom saving throw. Critical fail of 1. Double damage. Hey, nice shot, Deadeye, Burgle quipped. Also, you made an ugly dress. The drone cried out from those hurtful words. So, that took another 2 damage. Alright, now moving on to Darb, and so Darb will attack with sword slash attack, as well as multi-weapon fighting. The shield bash. So, hit, and then a critical miss. Basically, the drone got a slam attack on Darb. So the drone took 6 damage, Darb took 3 damage. Darb ran forward, slashing at the drone, knocking it up into the air. He readied his shield for a bash attack, but the drone saw it coming and flapped its wings, forcing it down faster than Darb was prepared for, giving him a serious lump on the head. Sarah and Burgle chuckled at that. Friends, man, they're really great. Alright. Sarah is going to cast Magic Missile, dealing a total of 11 damage. Hang on, Darb. Sarah concentrated on Magic Missile and threw the glowing orbs, buffeting the creature backward with each hit. It weakly flapped in the air, clearly on its last legs. And then at the end of turn number 1, moving on to turn 2, which I'm just going to wrap up because it doesn't go very long. So, enemy A is going to attack Darb again. Slam attack. It gets 2 of these per turn. Hit and a miss. So it dealt 3 damage to Darb. Darb ducked the first slam, but then it came back, smashing him in the back of the head. Again, he's going to have a few lumps. Burgle is going to use Vicious Mockery. Again, another Wisdom saving throw. It failed. It was literally at 1 HP at this point, so yeah. Burgle's worried about Darb and glared at the drone. Hey, why don't you go back to the scrap heap where you belong? The construct glowed red hot like it was melting, and it disintegrated. Darb gave it a thumbs up, hands on it, like his other hand on his skull. So the combat is over now. We will get to the aftermath. Burgle rushed over to Darb to check on his slammed skull. Hey, I've got some aspirin in my bag, he offered. Sarah walked to the table and picked up Sally Jane. I gotta do the voice, man, come on. Hi, I'm Sally Jane. It's a pleasure to meet you. Not. I grew up in the 90s, man. Not was a thing. Let me have this. It gave some sample insults in the book, but yeah, I tried to come up with my own, and yeah, there's a reason I'm bad at Vicious Mockery. Can you guess it? I'm bad at insults, and apparently I'm bad at rolls too, but yeah, whatever. Sarah rolled her eyes at that, and noticed a doll in a maid's dress holding a small pouch. She grabbed the pouch and counted 25 gold. Excellent, she said to herself, grinning. Alright, mission accomplished, boys. Let's move out. Darb nodded, one hand on his pounding head. Burgle walked with him, holding his hand. We'll use the transport circles to get up quicker. Darb picked up the short bow. Hey, Burgle, you should take this. Could be useful. Better than that sling you've got. Ah. Burgle nodded. Hey, thanks, man. Basically, Burgle just has a sling for like long-range attacks as well as Vicious Mockery. So hey, here's a short bow, a free one, because I believe it does say specifically, like the quadrone melts, but the short bow stays. So hey, free bow. Also, if he's going to be like nature-oriented, having a bow is better than having a sling. Although sling does have its uses, I will say that. Alright, as the party made their way down the stairs toward the door, the rain seemed to be slowing and finally stopped before they reached the front door. Hey, that's pretty good timing, Darb said. Sarah rolled her eyes and shoved him out the door. Another quick DM note. Basically, just a final little twist. If you haven't fought the Earl yet, you could make that a surprise final encounter. I didn't because I was out of spell slots, and Darb had gotten beaten up enough, I felt like. I kept missing all that stuff. I felt like being nice, basically. Another way to potentially run this is another stealth check, going back out of the manor house. Like a DC 5 or something maybe. If you fail, you go down the wrong stairwell and run right into the Earl of the mansion. But, I'm trying to wrap up the story. I'm already on page 13 of 14. We're almost done. a deal in darkness. The clock tower rang out in the night. It was now 3 a.m. Grayson looked to Mina, who stood under the tree shivering slightly. You know you don't have to stay out here for this. I'm giving them, I'd say, another 10 minutes before I turn in, honestly. Sorry about that, I'm just so tired. Mina looked at him. I'm here as long as you are. I want to see how this goes with my own eyes. Grayson shrugged and turned around to see Sarah leading the boys out of the mist. Now, really quick, just for creepy effect, like, Darb is hunched over just like, oh my head, just like kind of groaning like a zombie, because Halloween-y episode. And Sarah has cast thaumaturgy on herself, giving her glowing red eyes, and staring very intensely at everybody. So yeah, again, Halloween-y. I'm just adding that detail here right now. It's not in my notes. Sarah was holding Sally Jane in her hand, grinning. Mina walked up next to Grayson, both muttering, "No way." Sarah looked at Mina. She also used thaumaturgy to alter her voice, so I can do a Brad voice. Gem now. Mina was stunned to silence and handed over the gem, Sarah giving her the doll. She turned her eyes to Grayson. You article now. Grayson pulled out the parchment and, with a snap of his fingers, burned it to ash in an instant. Remember, I am a man of my pow! Sarah decked him, shaking her hand slightly. Grayson was on his butt in the dirt, his lips split. I'm not doing makeup effects. I don't know how to, and this is the summary. Hopefully that will come whenever the heck I do everything with the minis and whatnot that I've got over here. You gotta give me time. I gotta get through year 1 and then go back through and make it cool and interesting, okay?
That was a warning, pretty boy. Stay away from us, because next time I will barbecue you. And Mina, fuck off.
She had used thaumaturgy to enhance her presence, causing Grayson to crab walk backward, Mina picking him up awkwardly. The two locked eyes and ran off into the mist. Darm Burgle shared a worried look. Hey Sarah, we're cool, right? They asked. Sarah shook her head, laughing to herself. Her voice dropping back to normal. Yes, of course, we're cool. The trio walked off into the mist, Sarah leading the way. End of session 6. And really quick, the party is now level 3, which means the introduction of subclasses is upon us. Basically, for Darb, I went with Eldritch Knight, which is basically fighters can pick up spells, I believe, from the Wizard School of Magics. I forget exactly, but I picked some spells. Burgle got to choose his school, and he went with School of Lore, because this is, like, Burgle is a character I've used previously, and basically this is kind of like his prologue to that, is what I'm going with personally. Well, potential prologue. Like, basically, once University ends, the timeline's going to split. Timeline A goes into Connor's game, where he's a level 5 guy who just gets caught up in the adventure. Timeline B, which is this timeline, is going to potentially go into Waterdeep or somewhere else. We'll see what happens. The rest of the story stuff. And then there's, Timeline C, where he honestly just stays at the university as a professor. Hired on eventually. Yeah. But, really quick, we do have a post-credit scene. Thank you for your service, and sorry for any trouble. Monday morning, as Burgle was about to head off to class, he noticed something in his mailbox. He walked over and pulled it out. The rust-colored bag of tricks, with a note stuffed inside. Thanks for your service, Burgle. You're a good man. My apologies for any friction. I hope this will help bury the hatchet. And if you ever need me, know I am always around. Grayson Wildemere. Burgle did talk to Professor Veralda about the ring of mind shielding. She thanked him for finding it and decided he could keep it. She kept it as a precaution against cheating students, but it never proved to be an issue. So, yeah. And then we can move on to my final thoughts. Final thoughts. Oh my gosh. This was a lot of prep, but it was fun. I loved writing this story. My driving force for this entire time was reaching level 3. and I did it. My team unfortunately missed out on some treasure, but I can live with that. The biggest thing for me personally, being silvered daggers. I say that because silvering a weapon can make it so that your weapon does hurt a creature that needs to be hit with magic. With magic damage. A normal dagger may miss, but a silver dagger will hit. They also had some mind reading potions, but mind reading isn't as important for me. It could work for other people, it could play into the story a bit more, but I'm fine with skipping them. And I tried to stay true to the characters. Trying to explore top to bottom. That seems like a potential, good rogue strategy. Because, oh hey, you're on the top floor, you hear people coming in, you climb out onto the roof, you get away easily. You're on the second floor, and you hear people coming in, you can potentially, again, climb onto the roof, get out. First floor, just get out quickly. Basement, you might have to find a window. Let's see, this isn't going to be a perfect, get everything run. I'm trying to stay true to these characters. If we play this, you play how you want. I don't mind. I'm just here to show that it is possible and give some reference to what I may try, if we play together. I would say at this point I'm kind of an easy mode DM, for the most part. Like, I want you guys to succeed and I want you guys to have fun, but I also want to create, a nice little story with some intrigue and some interest. And I've got a ton of other scene ideas that I'm looking forward to, so I'm really wanting to get this done and edited, which is going to take some time. Other potential things DMs could do for this, offer the Devil's Bargain. You can be level 3 and retry Campus Daredevils if you would like. I personally am not going to rerun that here because we already know how the story goes. But, let's say your team fails the first time. You can go, oh, hey, we're going to be level 3 and we're going to try it again. Before even running the mission, I was a bit worried that it might be a bit much for the team. There are so many encounters. The story can continue in spite of failure, but I'm just trying to be nice. Oh, hey, you guys can get silver daggers, mind reading potions, the gem of brightness, etc., etc. However, I would stipulate that with this Devil's Bargain, which is something that I'm stealing from Blades in the Dark, is, oh hey, I will let you do this, or have this, but you have to accept this. So, you roll to attack this guy, well, that guy, you're going to take harm or something. Yeah. And then really quick, justifying the lack of trouble after the heist, if they aren't caught. The mansion is used by some of the professors to test their students. It's kind of a makeshift dungeon with treasure and traps. If we pull it off, one of the teachers must have had the mansion booked for the weekend. Generally, in my canon, it's toward the end of the semester or year that they do it. So leaving it so early in the year is a bit odd, but it can be hand waved away. But yeah, 13 pages. This is the longest story. My battery's about to die, so I'm trying to do this quickly. Yeah, I'm just gonna wrap it up. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have fun, stay safe, keep hydrated, and of course, remember, this is my story. This is my world, but it is your story. So, have fun with it. And hopefully we can get to play again soon. Until next time, everyone, have fun, stay safe, and keep hydrated. I'm Valiant Bradley James, character investigator and wannabe DM. Peace.